Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and in this review we are doing another non-spoiler review for a comic book that just came out. There's always a lot of stuff to talk about, sometimes you can't get to it all every month, so this was one I was very curious about talking about, so I'm glad we're finally sitting down to do the video. We are talking the first 5 issues, or the first arc, from Chip Zdarsky's relaunch of Captain America. This is probably a book that was a long time coming. Captain America, for some reason, has been in such a tumultuous place. I don't want to say it's been since, like, Secret Empire the character has been spiraling, but that really felt like the last time there was any note for the character was that era. There's been stuff since then that's been pretty good, like the Ta-Nehisi Coates run. It's not bad, you know? But this is a, I guess, challenging character to write today, because what angle do you play with Captain America? What type of story do you do? So, Chip Zdarsky, returning from doing Batman, he comes over to Marvel again, and he's like, well, I wrote a pretty good Captain America book, which we did cover in a non-spoiler review, which was Avengers Twilight, so maybe I should tackle Captain America. He clearly likes the character, and that's always a good thing when you can really tell a writer likes this character and understands this character. You're going to get something special. And I genuinely think this book is special. So the first 5 issues are out now. This is a mini arc called Our Secret Wars, and it takes place in the past, but the present for Steve. It's interesting how we go about this. So this is kind of a retconning to Captain America coming back when he's first unfrozen from the ice. This story takes place the week after Steve Rogers is unfrozen by the Avengers, and it follows like a mission he does for the US government upon returning to this world. So the book is steeped in 2006. That is when we're saying it takes place. So this is a fresh from the ice Captain America going on a mission, which is really cool. I think there's a couple of reasons why we're setting it there. This is when the story has to take place. And that is clearly a moment in politics, in American politics, that Chip Zdarsky wants to play with. So we have to get out of the way. And I don't know why we have to say this. This is a Captain America comic book. America's in the title. It's going to talk about America. And the big internal conflict for Steve Rogers throughout this piece becomes, do I still think America is a place worth fighting for? And what is my place in this new America? Chip really handles the fish out of water well for this character. He still speaks like he is a young man from the 40s. He still treats people who are clearly not as old as him as older than him. Like, he is seeing guys in military regalia and being, you are my superior, even though I'm years older than you. That, like, it's really clever. I think it's genuinely really clever and well handled. And when you have a writer who wants to tell a story with this character, you get something like that, you know? And Valerio Schiti is doing the artwork for this book. I love their work. It is very breathtaking. Works so much for, like, this younger feeling Steve Rogers, this guy who is clearly out of place. I just love how we do the subtle nods to, he doesn't know what CPR means. He doesn't know what a satellite is. You're talking about things that are above his comprehension, yet you're asking him to be a soldier again. And I like that. I think 2006 is a very tumultuous time for soldiers and what kind of war we are fighting. And that takes on another life with another character in this book, Major Thomas Colton, who is the premise of, what if we made Captain America in the times of the Iraq War? Which isn't a bad idea, you know? Like, we're seeing this young, shaggy kid who has asthma. He's very much like a contemporary Steve Rogers type. He joins the military. They think he's weak, but he's got a good spirit. They give him the super soldier serum so he can become Captain America. And what if that was just happening when America wasn't really fighting in wars anymore, you know? And then there is wars all of a sudden. Like, it's kind of brilliant. And I know Chip probably spoke to a lot of people from that time who were in war and can talk on, like, the way the Iraq War and that whole situation went down. It feels Marvel comic booky while still having that hint, that vaguest hint that, oh, this was real, I guess. Like, there's no supervillains in Iraq doing bad stuff, but Colton deals with realistic threats that a soldier would in that time, and how that affects him because the idealistic version of America he pictured in his mind is not actually the case for that. So that stuff is kind of like the secondary story for this whole run. The main story consists of Steve Rogers working with a elite unit, which includes the current day Captain America, which is Thomas Colton in this book. And they are going on a mission to save some civilians, American civilians, that are being held in Latveria, which is really an interesting story. And I like the way we handle that narrative. When you are writing Doctor Doom, it's hard to pinpoint how you want to portray that character. And there can be some comparisons made to he is the Marvel Universe's Adolf Hitler. Now, they have one in Red Skull, but in terms of Steve Rogers in this book, who's only a week removed from being frozen from World War II, he is like, I woke up to a world where we won World War II, and you're telling me that this guy in this country has the potential to be the next Adolf Hitler. I guess I gotta see what this is about and stop it before it happens. And again, this just goes back to Chip really knows what he's doing with this character, is when he gets to Latveria, he understands the rebels that are fighting the causes here. He understands that maybe peace through tyranny is not the way to have things done. Like, it's pretty clever, and I love the way he handles the interactions between Victor Von Doom and Steve Rogers. Doom's just kind of like, I get it. You represented like a very important piece of Americana, a piece of identity. You fought for all the right things. You are definitely a soldier who is worth exploring and having time put into. You are an important part of history. And the thing is, I'm not as terrible as you might think I am. You know, like it's really clever stuff for Doom. I don't know why we're pushing Doom so much. Well, of course I know why. It's because he's going to be the villain in a big movie. But making him a more like of the world threat for the Marvel Universe, I'm okay with it. It's not what I need. It's more interesting, the dynamic between him and Reed, but there's also an interesting dynamic to put there between him as this ruler of a sovereign nation and an American soldier. That is something to explore. And this whole book is about why America's bad. And I get it. I understand how today some people don't want to read why America sucks. I get it. I think Chip Zdarsky wants to talk about it. He's got a lot of opinions on it. And he's not afraid to share them, which I think makes a lot of sense because there's some revelations throughout the book about America's involvement in Latveria. That's definitely a takedown of like how messed up the post 9/11 military complex got. Thaddeus Ross is an insane person in this book. It's really clever how you have a guy survive World War II. He comes to a post 9/11 Iraq war world and sees, oh, America has lost some of its meaning. And that's clever. It is clever to use Captain America in that sense, especially when you were presenting him as a younger man than the kind of like stoic hero we know him to be in the modern day. It is clever. I will give the book that. It handles these things decently enough, and I think the artwork is incredible. Sometimes the coloring, you're just like, oh, maybe that's not the best for Schiti's artwork, but it looks good. It's a Captain America book. If you have to talk about the military, talk about the military. It's a tumultuous time in military history right now in 2006 of this book. So I get it. I do get it. I was very impressed with the writing. I think it's very clever. The way Steve talks is very interesting. The way we firmly establish a burgeoning Marvel universe is really interesting. Characters like Tony Stark and Reed Richards have a lot of cool interplay in this book. It's impressive, and I think this is kind of the reinvention or just like the reaffirmation of the ideals of Captain America we've been looking for in modern comic books for a minute now. I'm glad we could find the way to do that. I'm just worried that the arc following this, which is supposed to set up the big summer event Armageddon and introduce the Red Hulk again, is going to detract from the interesting political narrative that's being weaved here. Like, we're lying to the American people, we're lying about our involvement in foreign nations. I'm scared that we're just going to get to a little more, it's the big blockbuster. I hope not, because as it stands, I am excited for a Captain America book, which is kind of rare to see. And I think this is the best we've seen Doctor Doom handled in a long time. It does get a little too like slapsticky fight at the end. But as somebody who didn't finish One World Under Doom, I don't hate this. So, Captain America, Our Secret Wars. I am going to give this book an 8 out of 10. Now, thank you all for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And of course, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.